It's good to see everybody this morning, and if you are new with us, we are especially happy to have you with us this morning. Please make yourselves right at home, and all of you who are worshiping with us online, we love you, we see you too, and we hope you also are well. It seems like everyone in all of our readings, they're all in a foul mood this morning. The collect for today is one of the oldest collects and truly one of the best, one of my favorites, and it starts out, "Blessed Lord, who caused all holy scriptures to be written for our learning. Grant us so to read, mark, learn, and inwardly digest them," blah, blah, blah. It's good, and it lifts up all of Scripture, which means we have to deal even with the Scriptures that we do not like, even when they are declaring God's wrath and judgment and railing against the manifold depravities of this sinful and ungodly age. So I too shall take my cue from them, from the prophet Malachi and all them, and I too shall add my voice to the mix this morning, and I too shall speak against one of the great evils of our society, Gene. Are you listening? It's something that we all see and know, something that we all experience, and in fact we experienced it once again a couple weeks ago, something that we all feel so powerless to change. I'm sorry, I have to say it, I am speaking, of course, about the seasonal time change and the changing of the clocks every fall and spring. I know, y'all, I know you're thinking, Lonnie, that's old news. We're in a new news cycle. Thanks, Alex. I asked Alex to put my sermon up on here, and I said, don't mix it up, and homie turned it upside down. Smooth move, brother. By now, I know that our internal body clocks have adjusted, but I've come to firmly believe, unequivocally, that all time changes are garbage. I'm going somewhere with this. Spring forward, terrible. Fall back, do not try to ply me with that mess about how we get an extra hour of sleep, for fall back also is an abomination like unto black jelly beans and candy corn. For here we are in these latter days, plunged into darkness at what feels like 3:30 in the afternoon, and it is an attack on our very souls. But we must find the good in all things, mustn't we? And I will admit, as grinchy as my heart is about this topic, that the fall time change has afforded me at least one unexpected and very lovely thing this year. What is that, you ask? Thank you for asking. It is the gift of the sunrise. Did y'all know that the sun comes up and does pretty things every morning? I had no idea. Over the last few weeks, whether on my drive to the church or from my office window, which faces Tennessee and Calhoun, I've seen sunrise after sunrise after sunrise. And there is something downright hopeful as I peer out my window down Tennessee Street and watch the light burst forward over those gorgeous Tallahassee oak trees and the iconic Tallahassee skyline of Capital City Bank and Jay's Asian Bistro and the Chevron next to Leon High School. Shades of blue and orange give way to shades of garnet and gold. And the light spills across my coffee and my calendars on my desk and down the Calhoun hallway as Fran and company plan and prep for the cafe and our dedicated staff arrive in St. John's, and all the whole wide and waiting world rise to meet life for another day. It is ordinary, it is simple, and as much as I deplore the time change, have I made myself clear on this? I will admit that I'm honestly glad that I get to witness, and I hope you do too, this simple everyday miracle. So yes, Malachi and Paul and Jesus all have a lot to say today about the judgment of God, the depravity of governors and kings, the rumors of wars and insurrections, of people being whisked away and forced to give an account that they did not expect to give. And we need to listen to those warnings. We do. And yet, so too must we listen to the promises embedded within these prophecies, especially when Malachi closes his prophecy today, read by the fabulous Mrs. J. Lacy, the First Lady of St. John's. You read it so pretty, baby. But there's Malachi at the end promising God's redemption, and what does he liken it to? To the sunrise. But, he says, for you who revere God's name, the Sun of Righteousness shall rise with healing in its wings. That's a take-home line for you today. I'll say it again. But for you who revere my name, God says, the Sun of Righteousness shall rise with healing in its wings. What a line, y'all. What a promise. That is not, at the end of the day, doom or destruction or dread. That is hope with a capital H. For when Scripture speaks of the day of the Lord, I believe ultimately it is not describing God arriving in anger. It is describing God arriving with clarity. God shining the light on what has been hidden, and God setting to right all that has gone wrong. And so for us who love the living Lord and put our trust in something far greater than our own imagination or will or skill or muscle can devise, God's coming movement in our lives is nothing to fear. It is sunrise. It is warmth. It is healing. It is the beginning of something new. Here also is what I love about a good sunrise. See, the thing about a sunrise, it's not going to rush itself. It doesn't know how. A sunrise never panics. A sunrise never wrings its hands or wonders whether the world is ready for it. A sunrise just simply rises. And y'all, I believe the same is true, to our great surprise, about God. God sees and cares about the state of your life, but God is not anxious about it. God knows and cares about the state of our world, but God is not shaken by it. God rises, and God will continue to rise, steady, faithful, and true, and there is nothing you can do to stop him or the healing that he inevitably brings in his wings. And if that is what God is like, well, then the news gets even better, because that then means that the whole Christian life is actually something maybe far gentler than we imagine. For the other truth about the sunrise is that you can't speed it up. You cannot rush it. You cannot demand it to arrive on your preferred schedule. The light comes in its own time and in its own way. And yet every single morning, even on the cloudiest of days, the sun still rises. You don't have to make it happen. You couldn't if you tried. Which means that the Christian life is not actually about striving or straining to hold everything together. You know, y'all, the Christian life is about trusting that God is already doing what God said God would do, even when it feels like the whole world is against him. There is a hymn in the hymnal that we're going to sing today during communion. It's one of my favorites since childhood, because it was my childhood priest, one of his favorite hymns. It's hymn number 9. We don't get to sing it that often, but it gathers all of this up in just 2 of its first verses. And since during communion we're all milling about the room and coming up to the table, you might not have the book in your hand, which, sidebar, let me talk to you about hymnals and being an Episcopalian. And a bunch of you say that you can't sing and that even if you did, God wouldn't like it. That's a lie. Don't let the devil lie to you. But I hear you. But at least when we are singing, pick up the book, okay? Pick up the book and read the words that are being sung, because some of the most perfect and gorgeous and life-changing theology of the Episcopal Church is contained in our hymns, okay? So, since you're not going to be holding the hymnal during communion necessarily, grab the hymnal, turn to hymn number 9. I want us to read these two verses together. Hymn number 9, and if you're new, our hymnal plays a trick on you. The first section has an S in front of the numbers. Skip past that one. Go to where you just see the numbers without the S, and look for hymn number 9 that starts with "Not here for high and holy things." Got it? Let's read the first two verses together. Not here for high and holy things we render thanks to thee, but for the common things of earth, the purple pageantry of dawning and of dying days, the splendor of the sea, the royal robes of autumn moors, the golden gates of spring, the velvet of soft summer nights, the silver glistering of all the million stars, the silent song they sing. In other words, God shows up in the ordinariness, the ordinary miracle, the ordinary beauty of this created life, in the sunrise itself, in the quiet splendor of ordinary time. These dawning days are not empty or accidental. They are full of God. And so, my friends, here is the grace for you today. Here is the gentle truth that I hope you will take and carry with you into this week, wherever you are in your life today. Whatever is going on in your life, whether you are grappling with a new and unexpected diagnosis, or maybe you're dealing with an impending job change, or are carrying the weight of a relationship that has changed. Maybe you have experienced the passing of a loved one, or maybe you are buried by financial challenges, or maybe you are just struggling with your faith and with God, or you're just generally so worn out by the news and the changes and chances of this transitory life. Whatever it is, you, my friend, are not alone. God has not forgotten you. You, believe it or not, even if everything feels like darkness, you are living on the edge of the sunrise. You are living in the purple pageantry of dawning days, of autumn moors and the golden gates of spring. And even if the sky still looks dark, even if your heart feels heavy, you are living on the edge of the sunrise. Because the truth is that God has not forgotten the world. God has not abandoned us. God has not left this whole story to just write itself. God rises. God heals. God is in the business of bringing the dawn, and the dawn may not always look like what we want it to, but it will come, and when it does, it brings healing in its wings. And so if you cannot see that sunrise yet, and if all around you looks much more like the night, just know that God has way better night vision than you do. God sees you. God will rise for you all the same. So lift up your faces, everybody. Look toward the sun, and however you have come here today, in faith or in doubt, with joy or with trembling, in favor of seasonal time changes like a psychopath, or opposed to them as any reasonable person should be, and ready to write your congressman. I mean, like y'all, I can't tell you enough But wherever you are on all of these things, you belong. You belong not just here in these pews, but in this life. For there is room for you here in the golden light of God. For you who revere God's name, the Son of Righteousness shall rise, and with healing in its wings.